What should you do first if your spouse passes away? The emotional roadmap. No one talks about. Have you ever truly asked yourself, what would I do if my spouse passed away before me? It's a question that most people avoid until reality forces them to face it head on. And when that moment comes, they often find themselves drowning in a wave of grief, shock, and decisions they never imagined having to make alone. The truth is, losing a spouse is one of life's most profound and disorienting losses. No matter how strong your bond was or how many years you shared together, their passing shatters the foundation of your world. Suddenly, the person you built your life with is gone, and you're left navigating unfamiliar territory with a heavy heart and an overwhelming to-do list. This video isn't about filling out paperwork or deciding what songs to play at the funeral. It's about what to do first, for yourself, in those earliest, most fragile moments after the loss. It's about finding your footing when the ground beneath you feels like it's crumbling. It's about protecting your heart, your mind, and your well-being when everything inside you wants to shut down. Together, we'll walk through 6 essential steps, emotional and practical, that will help you steady yourself through the initial shock of losing your life partner. These steps are not based on theory or distant advice. They come from real people, real experiences, and the kind of wisdom that can only be born from deep love and deep loss. Because grief doesn't follow a script. It doesn't come with instructions. But there are things you can do, gentle, meaningful things that can carry you through the chaos of those first days. And while none of them will erase the pain, they can help you begin to breathe again, cope, and even, eventually, heal. If your spouse passes before you, and may that day be many years from now, you need more than survival. You need clarity. You need tenderness. You need to know that even in the worst moment of your life, you are not alone, and that there is a way forward. So stay with me until the end, because step 6 is something most people never think about, yet it can determine how you live the rest of your life after loss. Let's begin this journey together, with empathy, with courage, and with hope. If this message resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's dive in. Number 1, let yourself feel before you try to fix. When a spouse passes, it doesn't just feel like someone left the room. It feels like the entire rhythm of your life has been disrupted. The quiet isn't just around you, it seeps into you. The morning rituals you shared, the way their footsteps filled the hallway, the comforting murmur of conversations that used to anchor the day. They're all gone. And in their absence, a deep, hollow silence settles in your chest, one that words can't fill. In those first days, there's a powerful urge to do something, anything. You might feel pulled toward the logistics, calling relatives, organizing paperwork, making funeral arrangements. You tell yourself it's necessary, and it is. But often keeping busy becomes a shield against what you're really avoiding, the raw ache of grief. And that's where this journey truly begins, not with doing, but with feeling. Before you try to fix everything around you, you must allow yourself to feel what's happening within you. That doesn't mean losing control or collapsing under the weight of it all. It means giving yourself permission to mourn, in whatever way your heart needs, to grieve without guilt, to cry without apology, to feel lost without needing a map. There is no universal timeline for healing, no rules about when the tears should stop or when the bed should feel less empty. Grief doesn't follow a schedule, and it certainly doesn't care about social expectations. Many people mistake stillness for weakness. They say things like, "I have to be strong for the kids," or "he wouldn't want me to be sad." But real strength isn't silence. It's the courage to face the depth of your sorrow, because grief is the proof of your love. Take Evelyn, for example, 81 years old, widowed after 52 years of marriage. In the first few days, she kept herself busy. She reorganized closets, sorted through drawers, ran errands. To the outside world, she looked fine. But each night she sat in the living room staring at her husband's empty chair, numb and disconnected. And then one night she finally cried. Not a polite tear or two, but a full, unfiltered cry that came from the deepest part of her soul. And in that moment, something shifted. Not because the pain disappeared, but because she finally stopped hiding from it. And that's when true healing began. You are not broken because you're heartbroken. You are not weak because your knees buckle under the weight of the loss. You are simply human, and grief is part of that humanity. Avoiding grief doesn't erase it. It stores it away. And when it comes back, it often returns through chronic stress, anger, detachment, or illness. That's why it's so crucial to honor it now, to sit with it, to breathe through it. Even if all you can manage is a whisper of, "I miss you," that's enough. So if your spouse passes before you, may that day be far away. Remember this. Don't rush into action. Don't bury your sorrow beneath to-do lists. Stop, sit, let the grief speak, let your love ache. Because in acknowledging the pain, you open the door to eventual peace. Healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with feeling. Number 2, reach out before the silence becomes isolation. In the first few hours and days after your spouse passes, you'll likely find yourself surrounded by casseroles, cards, kind words, and well-meaning faces. The phone buzzes. The doorbell rings. People stop by just to check in. But then, almost without warning, it all goes quiet. The calls become fewer. The house grows still. The world, which once felt so full, starts to feel incredibly far away. And that's where the real danger lies, not in being alone, but in feeling alone. Loneliness after loss doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you're not paying attention, it quietly wraps around your days, until it's not just emotional, it's physical. It affects your sleep, your immune system, your memory, your will to keep going. That's why one of the most important things you can do early on, even before you feel ready, is to reach out. Not because you're expected to be strong, not because you need to move on, but because the human heart, especially a grieving one, isn't built to heal in silence. You don't need to have the perfect words. You don't need to pour your heart out or explain exactly how you feel. You just need to say this: I'm still here, and I could use someone beside me right now. Here's the hard truth. People around you may not know what to do. Even those who love you deeply might hesitate. Not because they don't care, but because they don't want to intrude or say the wrong thing. So sometimes, you have to be the one to take that first tiny step. Reply to a message. Return one missed call. Let someone sit with you, even in silence. Let me tell you about Jim. He was 77 when he lost his wife to a long illness. In the beginning, friends called every day. But Jim didn't answer. He couldn't bring himself to say the same painful words over and over. She's gone. He didn't want to pretend he was okay. So eventually, the calls stopped. The texts slowed. The house fell quiet. Weeks passed before a neighbor knocked on his door. And in that moment, Jim realized how deep into isolation he'd fallen. That night, he made himself a promise. One conversation a day. Not a deep one. Not about grief. Just a real one. And that small act, a phone call, a coffee visit, became a lifeline. Because connection is what keeps the human spirit alive. You don't have to talk about your spouse right away. You can talk about the weather, a book you read years ago, a joke you heard once that still makes you smile. What matters is that someone is listening, that someone is with you. And if you're watching this thinking, I don't have anyone, please know this: you are not alone. grief support groups, senior centers, community volunteers. There are people out there who will walk beside you, even if just for a while. Sometimes a stranger becomes a lifeline in the most unexpected ways. Reaching out isn't a sign of weakness. It's one of the bravest things you can do, because it means you're choosing not to carry this pain entirely alone. You're giving yourself a chance to breathe, to feel, and eventually to begin again. In the early days after loss, your mind is foggy, your body is tired, your emotions are all over the place, and that's exactly why you need people around you, not to fix the pain, but to hold you steady while you gather the strength to take the next step. So if this resonates with you and you're still with me in this video, comment 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so, not just for yourself, but so others can find the support they need too. We're in this together. Now, let's move forward to the next step. Number 3. The urgency of organizing critical documents. When your spouse dies, it can feel like the world should stop. Like everything around you ought to pause and give you space to grieve. But instead, something far crueler happens. The world keeps turning. Bills still arrive, accounts get frozen, notifications start piling up, and in the middle of your heartbreak, you're expected to make decisions you weren't prepared to face alone. That's why one of the most important, and often most overwhelming steps in the days following your spouse's passing is this. Begin gathering and organizing their essential documents. Not because you're moving on, not because it's cold or impersonal, but because it's necessary, and because your future depends on it. You'll need to locate key documents such as their will, life insurance policies, bank and investment account details, social security information, property deeds, pension or retirement benefits, marriage certificate, death certificate, military records, if applicable, utility bills and passwords, and likely a dozen other pieces of paperwork that they handled or that were shared between you. This might seem like a mountain you can't possibly climb while your heart is still raw, and that's completely understandable. But here's the hard truth. Some of these tasks are time-sensitive. If certain documents aren't found or acted on quickly, you may face penalties, delays in receiving funds, or even legal obstacles that can make an already painful time even harder. Let me tell you about Harold. He was 79 when his wife passed away unexpectedly. She had always managed the household paperwork, the bills, the insurance, the filing system. After she was gone, Harold was left fumbling through drawers, boxes, and cabinets, unsure what was important and what wasn't. It wasn't until 3 weeks later that he finally stumbled upon her life insurance policy, folded and tucked inside an old sewing kit. By then, he had already paid for the funeral out of his savings and missed the ideal window to file a few benefits claims. He didn't make a mistake out of neglect. He just didn't know what he didn't know. And grief clouds everything. This is why delaying too long can create more pain than necessary. But moving too fast without clarity can also cause confusion or lead to critical errors. The key is starting gently, but intentionally. If it feels like too much to do alone, ask for help. Invite a trusted friend, a family member, or even a financial advisor to sit with you. Sometimes just having another set of eyes and ears makes the process feel less daunting, less lonely. Create a checklist, designate a folder or box. Make copies of the most important documents and keep them all in one place. Write down account numbers, passwords, contact information, details that someone else would need if they had to step in on your behalf someday. This may seem like simple housekeeping, but in truth, it's a profound act of love and protection, both for your spouse's legacy and for your own peace of mind. Because grief isn't only emotional, it's administrative, and being unprepared in this area can quietly unravel your sense of control when you need it most. Organizing these documents doesn't mean you're done grieving. It simply means you're clearing a path, so that when your heart is ready to breathe again, the world isn't a mess you have to untangle just to survive. Take it one piece at a time. You don't have to finish it all in one sitting, but the sooner you begin, the sooner you reclaim a small sense of order in a world that suddenly feels unrecognizable. If you're still watching this and you found this helpful, comment 3 below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next steps, each one designed to guide you gently through this season of loss. Number 4, the discipline of protecting your health. When you lose your spouse, it doesn't just wound your heart. It disorients your entire body. Sleep slips away. Appetite vanishes. The routines that once gave your life rhythm are suddenly gone, and with them, your sense of direction. In the days and weeks that follow a profound loss, even the most basic acts of self-care can feel pointless and even impossible. Making a meal, going outside, brushing your teeth, it all seems irrelevant when the person you shared it with is no longer there. But here's the reality you might not want to hear, yet desperately need to know. This is exactly when your body needs care the most. Grief doesn't live only in your emotions. It settles into your bones, your muscles, your immune system. It raises your blood pressure, disrupts your sleep cycles, and floods your body with stress hormones that suppress your immune function and magnify any existing health problems. This isn't about being dramatic. It's about science. Widowed individuals, especially seniors, are at a significantly increased risk for sudden weight loss, fatigue and dizziness, cardiovascular events, memory lapses, and confusion infections due to lowered immunity, not because they're aging, but because they're in shock. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 84 when she lost her husband of 60 years. In the first few weeks after his passing, she stopped eating regular meals. She forgot to take her blood pressure medication, not because she didn't care, but because grief made her forget how to care for herself. Then one day, while reaching for canned soup at the grocery store, she fainted. Her daughter rushed her to the doctor, fearful it was a stroke. But it wasn't a medical emergency in the traditional sense. It was grief, left unchecked and untreated, turning inward. Margaret's recovery didn't start in a hospital. It started with a notebook. Her daughter helped her build a simple daily routine, a meal schedule, water reminders, medication checkboxes, gentle walks around the block, short naps in the afternoon. Bit by bit, Margaret began to reclaim not just her strength, but her presence, her ability to stand upright in a life that felt like it had collapsed. There's a saying often shared in grief counseling: when you don't know what to do, care for the animal in you. Feed it, water it, rest it, move it. Because at your core, you're a living being trying to survive emotional devastation, and your body is begging for help. That help doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need a new diet plan or a rigorous fitness routine. What you need is the discipline to do the small things, even when they don't seem to matter. Eat something, even just toast or soup. Drink water regularly. Walk around your home or step outside, even for 5 minutes. Lie down at night, even if sleep doesn't come right away. Take your medications and refill them on time. These aren't just healthy habits. They're lifelines, anchors in a storm that threatens to pull you under. And please don't hesitate to call your doctor. Even if it's just stress, a simple checkup, a blood pressure reading, or a short conversation can ground you. It's not weakness, it's awareness. Taking care of yourself after loss doesn't mean moving on. It means choosing not to disappear along with the person you loved. It means protecting your body so that, when your heart is ready to feel again, it's still strong enough to carry the love and the grief that remains. If this message speaks to you, leave a comment below with 4 so I know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so, because the next steps are just as vital, and I want to walk you through every one. Number 5. The danger of rushed decisions. When you lose your spouse, the ground beneath you shifts. The silence in the house becomes deafening, and suddenly, the idea of staying where everything reminds you of them, the bedroom, the garden, their empty chair, feels unbearable. You might start thinking, should I sell the house? Maybe I should move closer to my children. What am I going to do with all their things? Should I close this account, cancel that subscription, change everything that feels broken? It's natural to want to regain some sense of control, to do something, anything, just to stop the ache from echoing in every corner of your life. But here's what grief counselors, widowed spouses, and experience all agree on. Big decisions made in the early stages of grief often become deep regrets. Let's take George, age 76. After his wife passed suddenly from a stroke, George couldn't bear to wake up in their home alone. Within 2 weeks, he sold the house and moved into an apartment near his son. At first, it seemed like the right thing, practical, even wise. But once the flurry of moving faded and the quiet returned, so did a different kind of grief. He missed his neighbors. He missed his garden. He missed the kitchen he and his wife remodeled together, where they used to slow dance while cooking dinner. Now the apartment, though safe and comfortable, felt foreign, empty, not home. In trying to escape the pain, George added another layer of loss, the loss of familiarity, memory, and place. You may eventually need to make changes, that's okay. But right now, while your mind is clouded, your emotions raw, and your energy low, is not the time to decide what stays and what goes. You don't have to. Take down the photos yet. Box up their clothes. Cancel the memberships you shared. Close the joint accounts. Sell the car or the home or the timeshare. You can wait. You should wait. Because acting too quickly may ease discomfort temporarily, but it often creates deeper, longer-lasting wounds. If people around you are pushing you to move on or clear things out, remind them gently. You're not frozen in grief. You're allowing space for clarity. This is especially true for financial decisions, signing papers, selling property, changing investments. These aren't just logistical matters. They carry emotional weight. And when you're vulnerable, it's easy to miss small details that can have big consequences. Bring in someone you trust, a family member, a financial advisor, a calm, steady friend. Someone who isn't tangled in grief, who can help you slow down and think clearly before you commit to irreversible steps. There's strength in not rushing. There's wisdom in sitting with your sorrow long enough to understand it before trying to solve it. You've already lost someone irreplaceable. Don't multiply that pain by losing pieces of your life you're not ready to let go of. Let the fog lift. Let your footing return. And then, only then, begin making choices from a place of peace, not panic. And remember, you are allowed to wait. You are allowed to not know yet. You are allowed to stay still until stillness feels safe. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below with 5, so I know you're still with me on this journey. And if you haven't already, subscribe and tap the bell to stay connected. These steps matter, and you're not alone in taking them. Number 6. The silent reconstruction of self after loss. When your spouse dies, the grief you feel isn't just about their absence. It's about the quiet unraveling of who you were when they were still by your side. You're not just mourning a person, you're mourning a shared life, a shared rhythm, a shared identity. You were part of a we, a name said in one breath, John and Mary, a partnership that had its own inside jokes, routines, glances that needed no words. You made decisions together, shared meals, laughed at things only the two of you understood. And now there is no we. That shift is seismic. It reaches down into your very sense of self and shakes the foundation. The outside world sees a grieving spouse, but inside, something more subtle, more haunting is happening. A quiet question begins to echo in the stillness. Who am I now? At first, you're busy. There's the logistics, the paperwork, the stream of condolences, the strange comfort of distraction. But when the world quiets down, when the casseroles stop coming and the nights stretch long, that's when it hits. You're no longer a wife, a husband, a caretaker, a partner, at least not in the way you were. And while love doesn't die, it lingers, burns softly in memory. The structure that held it, the container of your shared life, is no longer there. This is the stage of grief no one talks about enough. The quiet daily work of rebuilding who you are, not as a replacement, not to move on, but to evolve, to gently begin asking, what do I enjoy now? What brings me peace? What do I want the rest of my life to be about? Even if it looks nothing like what we imagined together. Take Irene, for example. She's 82. She lost her husband after 55 years of marriage. In the early months, she couldn't bear to change anything. His slippers stayed by the door. His coffee mug sat untouched on the counter. The we still lived in every corner. But one quiet morning, Irene set up an easel. She began to paint, something she hadn't done since her 20s, not as a distraction, but as a reconnection, a rediscovery of a part of herself she'd tucked away long ago. That didn't mean she loved him any less. It meant she was still alive, still here, and needed to keep living. And so do you. You are allowed to change, to grow, to become someone new, even while carrying the memory of who you were together. Rebuilding your identity doesn't betray the past. It honors it. It's saying, because of what we had, I'm strong enough to go on. Maybe that means traveling to a place you always dreamed of. Maybe it means joining a book club, learning to cook for one, or simply learning how to sit with yourself in peace. These are not replacements for love. They are responses to life. You won't figure it all out at once. In fact, you're not supposed to. This journey of rediscovering who you are, it's not a lightning strike. It's a candle lighting slowly in the dark, inch by inch, day by day. Each small curiosity, each tiny habit, each new awkward step forward is you reclaiming your story. Because you are not only who you were with your spouse, you are also who you are becoming without them. And that version of you, that version deserves just as much tenderness, attention, and love as the one before. If this speaks to you, if you're feeling the truth of this chapter in your life, comment number 6 below. Let us know you're here. And if you haven't yet, we'd love for you to subscribe and stay connected. You're not alone in this. Others are walking this road too. One step at a time, one breath at a time. Grief doesn't mean your story has ended. It simply means a new chapter is beginning. One you didn't ask for, one you never imagined, but one that is still yours to write. And in that chapter, you get to define what healing looks like, what joy can still feel like, what a life, even after goodbye, can become.